Could be.
Apparently, NBC is closing in on a $2.6 billion a year deal to get the NBA, which means that the 2025 season will be the last season for Inside the NBA on TNT. Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny Smith, Ernie Johnson. And the side story here is that, well, first of all, I find that really hard to believe. Like, really, that's like must-watch TV. It's like a staple. That seems impossible to me.
When a new network or a previous network that had once had a sport gets it back or gets the rights for the first time, they want to make a splash. If you watch the documentary about how when Fox got football, they went above and beyond to be like, we need John Madden and Pat Summerall. We need them to have legitimacy, to have any type of hype and, make this feel like it's a real thing. We need the best.
It's kind of like, I mean, that's a great example, but there's certain things that go hand in hand. Peanut butter and jelly. Ham with the burger. You need Inside the NBA with your NBA. When boxing made its transitions, it's like UFC without Joe Rogan or something like that. It's like you need that to legitimize the game. In a big fight for a long time, if Michael Buffer wasn't announcing it, it didn't feel as big. There's certain things that you need to make it feel like an event, to make it feel official, to make it feel real. And without those dudes, I don't feel like it's the same. Are there any other examples that come to mind?
You need
the Madden one.
You
was a
need
good
the
one.
Consistency.
Yeah.
You need the credibility,
and you got to make the transition sort of seamless, right? And you don't want people to hate the new change.
No, and if NBC is going to reattain years later NBA rights, why would you not say perfect? Charles, Shaq, Ernie, Kenny, it's the crew.
I think a good example for us where we live in Southern California, and it's iHeart related. Back in the day when they bought Real 92.3, that's what they renamed it, LA's new home for hip hop. They had to get something huge, a staple, to get the Power 106 listeners. So they stole Big Boy in the Morning away. And
perfect example.
Yeah, suddenly, and everyone in LA was like, what? He's on a different radio station? There was all this legal stuff involved. And to this day now, he's led the charge for the Real 92.3, and Power 106 has never been the same.
You need that familiarity. You need that comfort. You need those personalities.
Yeah, we all grew up listening to him every morning, and suddenly the news station had him.
Oh, yeah, he's the legend in the game. And recently we were wondering about the same sort of thing, Rich. Showtime Showboxing lost its contract. They were not hosting boxing anymore. We're like, well, what about Brian Custer and that whole crew and all those guys? Where are they going to go? And they went right to Amazon Prime, so PBC on Prime. Like, just to keep it seamless. If they don't get Inside the NBA on NBC, it's a fail. That's just how I see it. It's a major fail.
I'll give you the analogy. Football, when ESPN said, we want to make a big move, we want to take Monday Night Football back to its height. They went and got Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
Need them.
They said, you know what? We need this.
Mm-hmm. You need it.
What gets criticized the most? Apple TV's coverage of baseball, because they just put a bunch of randos on, and, God bless them, they're trying their best. But I can tell you,
people want their guys,
friends of mine that watch Apple TV baseball all talk about how unqualified and unfamiliar with the product, and the announcers are trash.
I mean, they might be great. It's just people want their guys, what they're familiar with, what they're comfortable with, and that's why. And when you think of NBA and you think of your guys, you think of CB, Shaq, Kenny Smith, and Ernie Johnson. They do such a great job. The chemistry is just next level. So, again, NBC closing in on the deal, which means Inside the NBA's last season is next season on TNT. But there's a two-part Ernie Johnson sort of story. He's saying that his loyalty is with TNT. To do what? I don't know.
With Turner Broadcasting, maybe he has a deal that maybe when he first signed it, he was like, you guys took a chance on me, and I'm forever loyal. But I don't know, man. You need that.
So
I mean, I think he or Kenny, not that they're disposable by any means, but I think though you got to make sure Shaq and Charles Barkley are on that panel.
You need the whole squad.
They are, yeah. You need the whole
squad.
You guys, just reading through the comments underneath these stories, the articles written about this the past couple of days, the viewers seem to think that Ernie Johnson and Charles Barkley are the big two that really make the show
Johnson's
fly.
the glue, no? When you say he's the glue,
he has been
Charles
for
Barkley
35
and Shaq,
years.
They're the personality. They're the stars of it. The stars, I get it, but I still think you need all of them to complete the chemistry. I really do. I think that's what makes it great. You take Kenny Smith out, it's not the same. I want to see his knock-kneed posture up there on stage. I need that. Now, the two-part question is, if Ernie Johnson holds out or says his loyalties with TNT, I commend his loyalty there, but is he the Olsen twins on the reboot? Is what Danny G said.
There's always one person There's always one person on the reboot
that doesn't want to come back or be part of the tour.
Like Fuller House, as corny as Fuller House was, the fact that Michelle Tanner, the youngest, played by the Olsen twins, was like, I'm not in. Come on.
And everybody has their reasons. I get that. That's not the speculation, but when someone is not a part of it, it could go on, but it's not the same, right? So is Ernie Johnson pulling an Olsen twins as far as the reboot, quote-unquote reboot? And does everybody have a price, as the great Ted DiBiase taught us when we were kids?
So I think if NBC says, listen, we want this seamless, because there's two things at play here. People love that pre- and post-game show. Shaq, Kenny, Ernie, Barkley,
and
like you
said. By the way,
said.
dude, that's the most viral stuff. Of course, we see the highlights, but it's like Saturday Night Live or any late-night talk show. You don't really watch all of that, but you see all the highlights on social media the next day. These little highlights from that show live on social media. It's such a staple of your daily sports life.
Bro, in the sports entertainment world, which we work in, they're constantly throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. Oh, get rid of RG3. Put in Jason Kelsey. Get rid of this person. Put in that guy. Hey, we're going to get rid of Phil Simms and Boomer Esiason and throw in Matt Ryan. They're always trying to see, could we...
Oh, it's constant.
Could we get lightning in a bottle?
So many egos, so many personalities. Sometimes people just don't gel. And chemistry.
And when you got the chemistry they have...
you got to keep it together.
The show... That's why you put it on. Listen, they tried Dennis Miller on Monday Night Football. And all.
That was so weird.
They tried all types of things. So when you see, who does this? Other sports radio networks, they take two hosts that have never met each other and you're doing a show together. It's always awful. It takes real lightning in a bottle and real chemistry, and they got it.
It takes real chemistry. It takes time too to develop that rhythm. They have all that. So whoever they put in there too is doomed to fail, because people are going to want what they want, and that's what we want as fans. That doesn't mean other people can't do it, but it's not going to be the same.
It's funny because this conversation you guys are having is exactly what they were talking about when the Lakers and the Nuggets were playing against each other, because you had the Nuggets, who had this great chemistry, had been together for a while, had already gelled, obviously. And you had this Laker team that had just kind of been pieced together during the offseason, except for AD and LeBron playing together for a few years. Yeah, and it takes time for every team that goes deep. You look at the first thing you look at, how long have these guys played together?
I used to think it was BS, but now I've changed my mind. You know how every time like a championship caliber team talks about the camaraderie in the locker room and the clubhouse and how it's different? It's a real thing, right?
Oh, man, one person could change everything.
You can't fake the funk on chemistry and camaraderie. So I'm just hoping they keep it. I'm just hoping they keep this crew together. NBC has the money. If they're going to be paying billions for the NBA,
dude, what gets Ernie Johnson to continue on?
I was just going to ask you guys, because I looked up his annual salary.
What is it?
What do you think Turner pays him right now?
$8 million.
Okay, Cove.
I was going to say like 5, 6.
Buyer, how much you think Turner pays?
4, I was going to say.
4? Sam? $1.
I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah, don't do that, please. His salary is a reported $5 million annually.
Oh, nice. You know what? I was right.
It's like when they were revamping Wheel of Fortune, when Pat Sajak said, "I'm out." Put Seacrest in there because he's great at what he does. But they needed to keep Vanna White. You had to do everything you could to keep Vanna White. It's freaking Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, some sense of familiarity, like you said.
They had to double her salary, and God bless her. So
she's part of the brand at that point, and I feel like all of these dudes are part of that brand. We don't need anybody, but we're saying if you want a seamless transition, you want to make it something that people are excited about. You pay Ernie Johnson just to to forget about loyalty here and give him an offer he can't refuse.
Not to branch off, but you mentioned Wheel of Fortune, and honestly, Jeopardy probably had the biggest dilemma when Alex Trebek ended up passing away.
Dude,
Yeah.
huge dilemma.
How do you do it? And you know what they tried to do? Remember, celebrity host after
Yep.
celebrity host, and then they realized something, that the real prize is the contestants. Like, so now, how many Jeopardy celebrity contestants are there? There's all these different tournaments and bringing back these old faces. It's not as much about Alex Trebek now not being there, and Ken Jennings has done a great job as the host, but again, he was a former competitor.
Yeah.
So they've switched the focus on why you should be drawn into Jeopardy outside of the game. And I'm wondering, instead of just copying Inside the NBA and trying to continue it, are they going to have to figure out a different way to how do we reel people in? Because, you know, in Jeopardy's way, it actually has worked.
I never thought about how, you know how NFL will be like, former players now an analyst? You're right. Jeopardy has former players now running it.
Yes.
I know the secret, Dan Byer.
What's that?
Hot chicks.
Trampolines with little people.
Yeah.
Like
Covino, Telemundo's not getting the contract.
every man show tactic.
Yvette Garcia with the weather for no reason.
Every man show tactic from like early 2000s.
It's her Yannette
Garcia?
Yannette Garcia with the weather in the middle of our basketball update.